What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC. Today we're going to be taking a look at the first Jack Wolf Knives release of 2025, and that is of course the After Hours Jack. This is the second run of the After Hours Jack, so all of our artwork is going to be contributed by Jay Gonzo this time around, and I think he knocked it out of the park. You see that Miami Vice lighting, Jack enjoying a glass of whiskey and a cigar, classic combo, what's not to love? One of my favorite tubes in recent memory, so really killed it on the artwork this time around. Now, in terms of the drop, the After Hours Jack is going to be dropping at authorized dealers Friday, January 17th, and as always, I'll leave a link in the description where you can find all of those drop details. Standard locking model pricing applies at $350. The configuration you see in front of you is the Dark Matter Red Fat Carbon, a cover option that I consider sort of a staple of the Jack Wolf Knives lineup. We've seen it on a lot of different models, and surprisingly enough, this is my first Dark Matter Red, so really cool to see it up close. Kind of a subtle pattern, but where that red pops, it really pops, looks great, and pairs really nicely with the DLC and stonewashed titanium finish that we see here. Have the polished hardware and the belt satin finish on the blade. Now, last month we had probably what was one of the most varied lineups of configurations that had something that really appealed to everyone. This month I feel like they really leaned into that super upscale fancy cover options, and usually Dark Matter Red would fit into that category, but this time around it's sitting alongside cover options like the tortoiseshell kieranite, what that kind of pattern that you see on sunglasses a lot, and that one's super cool. There's a purple abalone, which is stunning, and then a River's Edge Cutlery exclusive, a red burl dichrolam. I don't own any dichrolam, but it looks absolutely amazing. I've been trying to stay current with my kieranite lineup, but really tempted by that rec exclusive this time around. Now, if you are looking for something a little bit more classic, they do offer it in a blue linen micarta this run as well, and I believe that's the first time we're seeing micarta on one of the locking models. I may be mistaken, but none of the models are coming to mind that had a micarta offering, so that's pretty cool too if you're into micarta and want one of the locking models in it. So that rounds out the 5 configurations. Really great lineup this month as well. Go onto the website, check out the pictures. Like I said, some of them are ultra fancy and look absolutely stunning. Now, in terms of revisions from the After Hours Jack Run 1 to the second run of After Hours Jack, I wasn't able to find any, and that's probably because it's a somewhat recent release. The After Hours Jack released in December of 2023, so just over a year ago. That was already after the introduction of S90V, the triple fluting on the bolster and stuff like that, so we're not going to see those changes here, all identical to the first run. So if you own the first one or if you've handled it, you know exactly what you're getting here, just brand new configurations to choose from. And so in terms of sizing on these locking models, they're always going to be a little bit larger than their slip joint counterpart. So the After Hours Jack is based off of the Midnight Jack, and that holds true here too. This is 7.31 inches in overall length. And in this case, there was also the Midnight Fixed EDC, and this is larger than that as well. So this is going to be the largest offering in that lineup, based off of the coffin barlow pattern. And so you can see that traditional barlow pattern with sort of the coffin shaping on the bolsters and the end there. And so really cool configuration, feels great in hand. I love the larger size of the locking model here. We get a 3.15 inch sheep's foot blade, beautiful blade shape on there. And again, S90V, so this is obviously one of the newer runs with the S90V that they've been using for probably a year and a half or two now. We have a hollow grind, ultra fine edge, super slicey, great swedge there at the top, and just a great blade shape overall. Again, this Dark Matter Red configuration comes with the belt satin finish, but take a look at the configuration you're ordering because they all offer a little bit different in terms of finishings. In terms of the deployment of this blade, we have a couple options. This one has that long pull, which has the sort of classic slip joint look, but you can use that as a fuller for deployment as well. Butter smooth action. It is on ceramic ball bearings and it is ultra smooth. Now, my first After Hours Jack, I was curious and upgraded to the skiff bearings, and it's hard to compare them side by side when you swap it. It felt like maybe it was a marginal improvement, but the bearings were already pretty good, so it didn't seem like a huge improvement. But now handling them side by side, there's really no difference. So wouldn't recommend upgrading to the skiff bearings unless you really want to, because I didn't notice like a marked improvement handling this side by side with my skiff bearing version. They feel pretty much exactly the same. But those deployment methods, again, We have the fuller, which offers that great middle finger flick. Really easy to do with this knife if you're just kind of learning to do that middle finger flick. This is a great knife to do it on because it catches your nail and it's very easy and natural to flick out. But you can also use it to just kind of slow roll out. Plenty of purchase with that fuller to roll it out with your thumb. And then last but not least, we have the front flipper. And so pretty subtle front flipper here. I like the look of it a little bit better than something like the Gunslinger Jack, which has a more pronounced drop off on that front flipper. Functionality wise, they function pretty much identical. They're both very easy and intuitive to front flip. Again, even if you're not good at front flippers, this is a good one to learn on because it's just a natural motion. Follow the top of that bolster and it is going to flick open. Doesn't have quite that ting that the Gunslinger Jack. This has a more kind of subtle thwack to it, but still really great acoustics on here as well. We have a bolster lock on all 5 configurations this time. Usually you only really see any difference with the frame lock if it's a titanium cover option, but since all of them are covers, you have bolster locks on all of them. Great access to it. Again, ultra smooth on the closing as well. In terms of our handle, 4.16 inches long, and that gives us plenty of real estate for that full 4-finger grip. Ultra comfortable. Obviously, it's a barlow pattern, so they're always ultra comfortable, at least in my hand, so kind of knew what I was getting into, and these larger ones give you plenty of room to spread out. That pocket clip disappears nicely behind your knuckles, and we do have that right hand tip up deep carry titanium pocket clip that's matched to the bolster and our back spacer. You notice the screws are polished, and then we have the belt satin blade, so that really pops on the super flat like DLC stonewash look and the dark matter red carbon. But the pocket clip is matched. Now, non-reversible, so you can't swap it to left-hand carry, but if you do want to remove the pocket clip, keep an eye out. This wasn't bagged separately this time. I've seen it before where it was in bags in the tube. This was just kind of floating around, so make sure you don't dump that out and lose it on the floor. You can put this plug in there and delete that pocket clip if you choose to do so though. And so weight-wise, also ultra lightweight for such kind of a longer knife at 2.7 ounces, so great blade length to weight ratio there, and feels great, super well balanced in hand, in your pocket. No slip included with the locking models, but of course you don't really need it, and you can always use one of the slips from the slip joint models. I haven't checked if this one fits in there. I would imagine the end of this might stick out just a hair, and obviously you want to remove the pocket clip if you're going to be carrying it in a slip. May stick out a hair, but you can also just get your own slip for it that's a little bit larger as well. Triple fluting on the bolster. I'm always a fan of this stonewash or blasting over the DLC. Just gives it a more kind of rough looking finish that holds up a lot better. It's kind of counterintuitive because it starts out with those marks on it, but you don't notice other marks that you end up putting on it because it's just kind of blends in with the rest of them. So I do feel like it holds up a little bit better, looks better over time, and looks great right out of the box as well. Really great options this time around. Let me know if you're going to be picking one of these ups down in the comments below, which configuration you're going with. Even if you're not picking one up, which configuration is your favorite. There are some really great ones. It's going to be hard to choose. And a lot of times when we have like a lot of these, I end up picking a second one. CCKS is coming up the first weekend of February, and I know they're going to be there. I don't know if any of these are going to make it until then. I'll probably end up waiting just so I don't spend a ton of money right before CCKS and maybe try and pick something up there. So it may end up making my decision for me because I wait too long, but a lot of really great options. So I'm not worried that they're not going to have anything that I want to pick up. But thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, joining the channel as a member, or even checking out some of my other videos. It all helps the channel out a ton, and I hope you have a great one. Take care.